Hi, my name is Henry, and in this video, I'm excited to be chatting with Brie, Brandon, and Mikaela about what's it like to work at Google as an APMM. And make sure to watch till the very end because they'll share some myths that they like to bust about product marketing. But first, please make sure to give this video a like so more people can see this. Now, let's get started. Can you introduce yourselves, your name, your team, your function, and any fun fact about yourself?
I'm Mikaela. I'm an APMM on Google Shopping, and I work mostly on core product marketing. And then a fun fact about me is that I love board games.
Hi, my name is Brandon. I'm on the Safety Kids and Identity or SKI team. My function is a safety brand marketer, and a fun fact about myself is that I've picked up surfing recently.
My name is Brie. I'm on ads marketing, the global onboarding team. And a fun fact about myself is I know how to juggle.
Very cool. When it comes to product marketing, it starts with the user, knowing your user really well. I'm curious to know who is your target audience for your product that you're working on, and what do you do to learn more about them?
Yeah, happy to share. So, who's our target audience? Since I'm on the onboarding team, specifically within SMBs, a lot of SMBs are in our target audience. And we also work to onboard not only just SMBs, but this could be, since we cover Google Ads and YouTube ads, this could be even creators who advertise as well. So that all falls under our bucket. And to get more information to better market to our target audience, one thing we do is conduct like focus groups and other surveys to understand their perceptions about our communications and even the creative of our actual comms. So this helps us better write messaging and even create more tailored emails to them.
Yeah, so on ski team, I'm particularly focused on the kids function, more focusing on how we can ensure that parents and educators have the right resources to equip themselves with the knowledge to help keep kids safe online. And so a lot of the time, our audiences are parents and educators. I guess put myself into how they would kind of walk about their day. So consuming the media that they consume, thinking and speaking to parents and educators is a big thing that I've found really super helpful. My feed on social media right now is a whole hodgepodge of different things about parenting, about classroom experience, just putting myself in the shoes of the user and how they perceive the world and interact with media.
For me on Google Shopping, obviously everyone shops at varying times depending on the campaign. We're targeting different groups, but a lot of times it's just general population. And so I think what's nice is that like essentially us on the team, like we are the target audience in a lot of ways. So we're bringing in a lot of our personal experiences, like what Brandon said too, browsing social media, keeping up with trends as well in that way, seeing what's relevant. And then of course also like UXR, like doing actual user research, surveys, focus groups are always super important for understanding the target audience and rewatching all those videos or the survey data that's collected and really seeing what you can glean from it to get that user insight to propel a campaign.
Awesome. What I'm hearing is that you can get user insight through interviews, focus groups, by putting yourself in a user's shoes, by consuming the same content, talking to them, and then also just eating your own dog food, which is using your own product. What's a surprising insight that you learned about your product or your user throughout that process?
Yeah, so something interesting I found out recently from business development. They told us that on average, the average person has about 17 member pricing programs or like loyalty programs that they're a part of, Amazon, Target, etc. And obviously 17 is a lot. Like no one, I'm sure no one can name all 17 that they're a part of off the top of their head. And so us thinking about Google Shopping, like we're always trying to show users the most accurate pricing information for them. It's definitely an interesting insight that we're using to develop features that make that process simpler for consumers so that they don't have to have all this stuff memorized in their head. So yeah, that's something interesting I learned recently.
Something I learned that was really useful in my work was just more so about the behavior of our particular users. When it comes to like parents and educators, I think the general consensus was that maybe they weren't necessarily aware of some of the risks that are online that are posed to children. We've been able to user studies understand a little bit more about like behavior, and I think that the new consensus, the new understanding is that parents and educators are very well aware of some of the risks and dangers that are online, but a lot of the times they don't know how to act or where to start with online safety for their kids, and so they just don't. And so I think that's really informed our strategy for how we're approaching ensuring that the internet is a safe place for children. It's really equipping the parents and the educators with the knowledge and resources of how to approach that safety conversation and where the risks are that they wouldn't necessarily think about.
I think it comes down to, with us, a lot of SMBs and their usage of Google Ads. One thing that's important that I noticed from various research that we were conducting is just the importance of telling them the insights about their campaigns. So this is something that we do send through weekly performance reports. And I think originally and maybe some other people on the team may have thought that's not as significant to an SMB customer, but having done various focus groups, that was something that was a big takeaway, that like, oh, actually, this does matter to them. Like seeing these weekly performance reports does provide that clarity and transparency regarding like what things they should adjust in their campaign and whatnot.
That's awesome. Those are all really good context to have about your customers. Following up on that, what teams do you work with in your function, and how do you collaborate with them?
There's always a ton of teams that we all work with. For me specifically, I work a lot with the analytics team to help set up campaigns and make sure we're measuring this given experiment that we're running. Will it provide statistically significant results? That team helps guide us in setting up those experiments. Even our campaign operations team. So when it comes to setting up emails, that's something that's really huge and helpful to have a team that supports you in that entire process, like end to end, in terms of all the things that you need to check off when setting up a large scale email campaign. And then production's a massive one, right? The actual building of the campaigns. This is huge because at the end of the day, we want to make sure our campaigns send properly, that they display properly. So that's very important. And of course, some of the product teams, when we're talking about new features and what those features entail, the best way to get that information is from the product teams and partnering with them to have one coherent story that we're going to market with.
My experience on my team is a bit different because of the way we're organized as a more horizontal team that is integrated into a lot of different products and ensuring that we speak to safety across all of Google's products. We do have to have point of contacts between many different PMMs on other teams to make sure that we're, one, being true to their narrative while also introducing some of the things that we do to keep information that we share at Google safe. And so we work cross-functionally a lot with other PMMs. And also, internally, we work really closely with creative teams and creative review teams. I think that's really important as well to what we're doing. One of the misconceptions that I had before was that maybe APMMs or PMMs in general are more of a stacked wheelhouse, but the beauty of having this at Google is that you can really lend your ear to experts across many different forms of marketing. That's been super useful for me. So I've definitely leaned into that, and I think it's been really helpful throughout my APMM experience.
I work a lot with product managers because for shopping, basically everyone on my team owns certain shopping features, and shopping lives within Google search. So anytime you make a shopping related query on Google search, whatever populates there is essentially our product. A lot of what I'm doing with product managers is asking like, what's the triggering for like certain features? What queries show up best for this if we're looking to feature a certain feature in a marketing campaign? That's always super important. Does it show up on both desktop and mobile? Kind of getting a lot of clarifying questions around my core features is really important with product managers. And when those have updates, also working with PMs so that we're aware of those updates and changes, and we can make sure that our marketing campaigns are reflecting those changes as well. So it's a lot of constant cross collaboration with that team to make sure we have that right. And then working with brand marketing and growth marketing as well. Sometimes I help write promo copy for growth marketing or with the brand team if they're putting out a social campaign and it features some of my core features. Then I'm also doing reviews of whatever they're putting out to make sure that my feature is being represented accurately or that the queries they're using work well for that feature. So there's definitely a lot of cross-team collaboration.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. My next question is, so far, what has been your favorite project that you worked on and why?
Something that I felt like was really fun and interesting to be a part of was like obviously we're near back to school season is approaching. And so something my team's been working on, like we of course are working on a campaign for it, especially since it's a big shopping moment. And I was asked by like the brand team to provide like my Gen Z insight into some influencers that they were looking at for the campaign. And of course, I'm very chronically online and also have a lot of insight into what kind of influencers are relevant for different reasons. So I felt like it was really cool and interesting to be able to review their list that they were potentially looking at, provide my honest feedback based on things I know about those influencers that aren't so easily Googleable or easily apparent from their profile, just based on me having a stronger understanding of works that they've been in or my own consumption of their content previously. So it was cool to see my feedback was actually really valued in the selection of who they ended up selecting. And then also then getting to review scripts and creative assets as well will be really exciting as this campaign unfolds. I feel like I'm getting that insight into the brand team has been really interesting lately.
Yeah, I think my favorite project I've been able to work on, as someone that sits on the global team, this global safety brand marketing team, we do have a bit of a crow's nest view of a lot of the activations that go across other regions like LATAM and APAC, and particularly on Safer Internet Day, which happens every February. It's a globally celebrated day where Google, we really want to speak to what we're doing that current year to cover safety within cybersecurity with children and just general information. I think being able to be a part of that global team and see how we're speaking to it and how different regions value different things was really great for me, especially in my early days as APMM, to see how that's rolled out and how we can ensure that we have a consistent brand message while also speaking to the concerns and the values of different regions, right? Because we are a global company, and I think that's really, really good for me.
Yeah, for me, I've now been part of a couple launches. And so, as I mentioned, I do a lot of email marketing for onboarding new ads customers. And one of the ones that was really exciting is we launched a new campaign to onboard new customers for a specific ads feature. And we previously didn't have many communications that talked about the best practices for the specific ads feature that we were working on. But that was really exciting because going from start to finish and seeing that whole life cycle of how email marketing is done at such a world-class level because we're reaching people all over the world and seeing how do we start a brief, how do we go to drafting messaging to designing the actual creative and production and whatnot was really exciting. And then even localization, like how do we handle all of that? So to get that exposure was exciting to me, especially when you're really trying to think about what's the best and simplest way to communicate a maybe more abstract type of product. That was exciting for me to be a part of.
That's awesome. Switching gear, what's been a big challenge that you faced in your role as an APMM, and how did you overcome it?
For me, biggest challenge would come down to learning not only information about the ads product, speak to it in a technical and accurate way, but then also learning a lot about the email processes. Those are two different things that you need to be versed on to do well. And that was definitely challenging because there's a lot of information that you have to consume to be able to speak to the product as well. Since we're working with so many teams, it's making sure to loop in the right people at the right time. And I do think that's a skill that is definitely acquired because when you're new, you don't even know who's the point of contacts for different features or different problems that you have to encounter when launching a campaign. Those are just points of contact that you slowly acquire, and then when to loop in those people. I would say all of the above were definitely some challenges, but you get better at it as time goes on.
I work on a horizontal team, meaning that we are integrated with a lot of different products. And so, what that means for me is really running point with a lot of PMMs and how they speak about the safety of their products and what they do to ensure that their products keep people's information safe. As the brand team manages the narrative and how we present this umbrella of safety across all different products, we have to consistently take in a lot of the ways that other teams talk about their products and ensure that there's a consistency between those two. And so that means speaking to a lot of different PMMs and having dialogue and conversations about how we come to market, how we're speaking on these things. When you're doing that for 50 plus products, it really forces you to think critically about how to stay consistent. It's been a big learning curve for me. Coming to this company, not only am I learning my core team, but I'm also learning so much about every other teams. Being organized, being consistent, and learning how to communicate effectively is something that I think has been a big challenge, but a great learning has come out of it as well that I think I can take to other positions here.
For me, a big challenge was shopping features I own. I took over from other teammates on my team. And so I was immediately getting requests to review assets. The hardest part for me was when I realized, okay, I have not taken the time to get a strong understanding of the product like I should have prior to then. And so I felt like I was struggling in those reviews to really be able to figure out and point out what it is I should be looking at, what I should be flagging. Sometimes I would miss things and I would have like my teammate who had handed over the feature to me, like she would still review it and would point out, okay, you should be looking at this and this. So I feel like it was just a challenge to learn what to be looking for those things. Obviously, there's not like a guide on everything about the feature. I am trying to build that now. That was something that I just had to learn by doing, but eventually overcoming that, now feeling like more of a feature expert in that area, I feel like it enabled me to do a lot in that role.
What I'm hearing is really understanding the process, the product, the teams that you work with, and then just also understanding what are the things that you need to know or look out for. What's a tool or a resource that you found really helpful in your daily work as an APMM?
I promise I was not paid to say this, but Google Drive honestly is your best friend. I feel with how much collaboration we do, it's just so necessary, but also just being really organized and intentional about, for me, sometimes making a shared folder with all the documents for a certain project I'm working on with someone is so useful. If they're asking for something, I can send them the folder and now they have everything. Or even like sometimes just to get aligned on what upcoming promotions I might be planning to run in the next quarter, making a spreadsheet where I'm outlining all of our requests that I can easily just send to someone on my team. And now everyone has access to this one shared document of truth. So I feel like Google Drive is just the best collaboration tool you can use.
I think one thing that our leadership has been really emphasizing, I think it's been important as well, is being a future-thinking marketing organization. And what that means is integrating our latest AI to how we think about marketing and utilize it in everyday things we do. For me, that's come from small things that have become easier for me. I use Gemini to help rewrite my emails, help me think critically about a brief that I'm writing, or really just adjust or organize some of the notes that I've been taking. I think it's become something that's added to my marketing repertoire rather than replaced. And I think it's been so useful to me to help order the things that I've been working with.
Yeah, I'm honestly plus 100 to both of those, but yeah, Gemini for me, hands down. When it comes to summarizing, writing stuff, I am an avid user of that tool. It's so helpful to be able to give almost like a second opinion on either like a certain idea I have when it comes to like writing a message or a ping or an email or whatnot. Super handy to be able to summarize or and improve the grammar of something that I quickly wrote. I think that tool is definitely one that I've used a lot and will continue to use a ton.
On the more personal side about your job, what's a memorable day at Google for you so far, and why did it stand out?
I think for me, honestly, like attending IO was really exciting. I remember watching the recordings of when I was like in high school and just seeing the latest announcements there. So being there in person and seeing the presentations live was very much a surreal experience. It's so amazing to see all the insane work that everyone's working on and being shared live. That's got to be one that really stands out to me.
That would definitely be being able to like come to Google during their 25th birthday and have this moment where we're really coming together to look back at what Google has been able to do and what its mission is and how we're moving forward with that same mission. I think we had a marketing meetup where we got to see our CMO, and then she was surprised by Sundar, and he came on stage and talked to how we're thinking about like, utilizing marketing in our company to continue to drive what we've been at since the start. That was a really novel moment to see these people that drive this company and that they're real people, and we got to speak to them and really understand like where they're moving forward. I think that's something that as a new addition to the company, getting to see that makes you feel a little bit more tied to the goal.
For me, what's been really great is the day-to-day interactions in the office with teammates or other APMMs have been what's made the experience so great for me, and also what really keeps me feeling really engaged and have love for working at Google. Those like more casual interactions that you get, like getting lunch with your team, or even like a post-work happy hour, or sometimes just grabbing a snack with another APMM in the kitchen. Those are things that kind of remind you how connected you can feel working at the company. It's allowed me to build relationships with people on my team and then also across other teams as well. So that's something I've really enjoyed.
If you can go back to day one when you started as a APMM, what advice would you give yourself?
I would definitely say try your best to get to know your teammates, set those one-on-one coffee chats as early as possible. Just because I am more of an introvert, I'm a bit shyer. It takes me some time to feel comfortable like opening up and speaking in like a larger meeting, especially. But I feel like the quicker I got comfortable with my team, the quicker I was able to start contributing and speaking up and feeling empowered to give my opinion on certain topics. Having that relationship with your teammates also just makes the work a lot easier and a lot more fun as well. So I would definitely encourage myself to get going on that as early as possible.
I think what I'd say to myself on my first day is it'll come. I think one of the things that you're immersed in when you first start here at Google is just the wealth of different experiences that people have and how talented they are at their certain role. And so seeing that, it's almost a bit overwhelming in terms of your capabilities versus theirs. But I think a little bit of grace in my early days would have been really useful to understand that by being around these great people, there is a factor of absorption that comes in. And I think I've been able to learn so much from them, learn so much from the projects I've been on. Now, although I do feel like there's so much in my career to learn, I think I'm a lot more confident in my ability to just learn and grow. And so I would say to myself, it'll come. Don't stress it. It comes with time. And I think the time and the lessons learned throughout that was really important as well. So to appreciate the growth that you're going to experience.
For me, comes down to at first you don't want to seem like, oh, am I asking for help because I don't know a lot, but you really don't know like anything when you're just starting a new team and roles. I think being very open to trying to get as much help from anybody and everybody earlier on is always extremely crucial for new APMMs. Since ads is a very technical product, making sure I'm spending the time to educate myself in that first month before projects really kick in to fully understand the whole breadth and depth of all the features. I think that's something that, in reflection, yeah, if you're on a really technical product, like really spend that time to dive deep.
Awesome. Yes, it sounds like it's dependent on the team and then also your personality. Yeah, Kayla's, I need to put myself out there. Brandon's, I need to slow down, be patient. And then Bree is just like, I just need to get to work and understand the product. What is a myth that you like to bust about the product marketing job?
From the outside looking in, you may think that there's one type of product marketing, that we're all just doing product marketing. But no, I think that is definitely not true. Every team and every role has their own unique way of going about things. And so it definitely varies wherever you are in the company. Although you are called a product marketer, you can be very much, as Brandon said, working on brand, or like me, working more on growth related. So it definitely varies a lot, which is what's so amazing about the program, because you get exposed to these different sides of marketing. But yeah, when you're outside, you may think that's, oh, I'm just doing core product marketing, but you're actually exposed to a lot more than just that.
Along the same vein is the scale. It's underestimated how much impact we can have on product, how much impact we can have on decisions being made across the company. I think our influence and our touch with the user is really useful and novel. I've seen our considerations and things being taken seriously and affect the way that we strategize product. Product marketers have a influence on the way and decisions that we make and how we move forward with the company strategically. That's a really great thing to have been able to witness and be a part of.
I think a lot of people have this perception that because we're Google, we don't really need to market. Everyone knows us. But especially with shopping, like people are very much not aware of many of our features that we have. A big myth is that we can just partner with the biggest influencer, the biggest celebrity, and that's what's going to make an effective campaign. But when it comes to being able to effectively market a product, having engaged audiences is much more of a higher value than just widespread reach. That's been really interesting to learn, just observing how that factors into what we do in our core work for focusing on engagement and actual usage of our features and our product rather than just reaching as many people as possible.
Last question, what does googliness mean to you?
I would say googliness is contributing positively to the office work culture, being a helpful teammate. Maybe if your teammates having something, they're overwhelmed, like being that person to step and be like, hey, I'm having a lighter load. Like I can help you offload a little bit of this week. Just fostering that collaborative, happy work environment, I feel is important. But I'm sure Brie and Brandon might have some more comments there.
Along the same lines, I think I've been so surprised how genuinely true this idea, concept of googliness is at Google and how like consistent it is. There's this culture of just really positively contributing, being kind, and overall taking more of an understanding approach. Everyone has been really intentional about inclusion and making sure that there is opportunity to contribute and share ideas as well. I think there's a little bit of a less hierarchy across teams than I expected, and I think that's been really great and separate from other corporate cultures that I've seen.
Yeah, I think Mikaela and Brandon pretty much hit it on the head. All the above, like just being good and being kind and being empathetic, like that to me encapsulates what I've come to understand what googliness means. So just be a good person.
Love it. Don't be evil, right? I think that was Google's original motto. Cool. Thank you all so much for sharing about your journey thus far. And I'm sure the audience will find this super helpful.
Yeah, thanks so much for
Yeah,
having
thank
us,
you.
Henry.
Thanks, Henry.